Hey, welcome back to Throw the Flag Football. I want to apologize up front for the audio of this video. I reorganized this room and ended up losing my microphone, or it went AWOL on me. And so I ordered another one. It's on its way. It'll be here in about a week. But I wanted to get a video up for the waiver wire for this week so that I could get a video out to you folks. So let's go ahead and jump right into waiver wire week 2 of the NFL fantasy football schedule. I'm going to give a real quick parameters of what I'm looking at. Rosters of 25 to 20 players, active owners with a taxi squad of maybe 3 or 4 players. So you may have higher ranked players on your waiver wire, but in general, I think these are the players that are going to be available. At least some of these players that we're going to discuss will be available in your league and in my league. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first player that we're going to talk about is probably going to be the top priority, or it's going to be the highest amount of bid dollars spent on this player if you use Fab Budget for your waiver wire. So top priority generally is if you have 12 owners, there is one of the owners going to have the top priority. He's going to be able to get whatever player he wants. As to where it goes from 1 to 12, and the 12th player obviously has the last priority, and he's got a long way to go to get a player that he wants. Fab dollars is different. You have a budget. Some use 500, some use 100, and you have to figure out how much of your budget you want to bid in a blind bidding for a player. So everybody's blind bidding against each other. Whoever bids the most gets the player. So you have to determine how much of your budget that you want to spend for each player, and it's got to last through the season. So we're going to jump into a little bit of that with this player, and I'm going to talk about what percentages I think you're going to have to spend for this player. Maybe not so much as for the other players, because I don't want to make this a super long video, but for this player we will discuss a little bit about the budget. First player we're going to talk about is a running back. It's going to be a running back from the San Francisco 49ers, Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell is 5'11", 217 pounds. He's a rookie out of Louisiana Lafayette, and he is a fast player, very quick, runs a 4.3 40. San Francisco drafted him in round 6 of the 2021 NFL draft, and he got his opportunity this week to show what he could do. He had 19 attempts for 104 yards and 1 touchdown. It's interesting how he got his opportunity, and I'm going to go over that really briefly. Right before kickoff, Adam Schefter came out with a report that Trey Sermon was going to be inactive, a healthy scratch for week 1, which was kind of a surprise. And so there's a lot of speculation as to what might have happened to cause Trey Sermon to be inactive. Now, Trey Sermon they drafted with a 3rd round pick, which is higher than the 6th round pick. So it kind of left a lot of people with their heads scratching of what happened. There is speculation that Trey Sermon just wasn't part of the special teams of the San Francisco 49ers, which made him not as versatile as JaMycal Hasty or Elijah Mitchell. And having 4 running backs on the game day roster just wasn't something they were going to do, so they made Trey inactive because he's not involved as much as Hasty is and Elijah Mitchell is with the special teams. That's one speculation. The other is that he may have been involved in some kind of disciplinary action, and that's the reason why he was inactive. Don't really know. Can only say that it was kind of surprising. It was right before kickoff. Some people may have went and immediately jumped to their waiver wire, especially if a lot of times after the bidding's done, then everybody is first come first serve after that. So there might have been times some of these leagues owners might have went in and grabbed Elijah Mitchell before kickoff of week 1. I myself did do that in one league. I had a player that I could just drop, saw the report, knew a player I wasn't really too interested in, and dropped that player and picked up Elijah Mitchell. And now I have Elijah. Before I didn't have to bid or anything to get him, so that's one way of getting him. Most people, I think, didn't do that, and so therefore you're in a situation where you've got to use your priority or your budget to get him. He's in a good offense. He is, he can catch the ball. And having the speed that he has, he can take it to the house whenever he gets the opportunity. Raheem Mostert was the starter in San Francisco, and he got hurt very early in week 1. That is how Mitchell got his 19 attempts, 104 yards, and a touchdown. You're going to need to bid, and this might be conservative in a way, 40 to 60% of your budget to get Elijah Mitchell. I think that there are people that are going to want to take a chance on him because he is the back in San Francisco, and they can put up a lot of points if he is the man. The concern or the cons to Elijah Mitchell is that it is a committee. At the time of this recording, I do not know. I cannot say what the injury is to Raheem Mostert. There have been rumors that it's his ACL, that he's going to miss time. I don't know. We'll hear more soon. And it could be where he's back next week. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I think it probably will be where he'll be out for at least a couple weeks, maybe longer. And he could be out for significantly longer if it is something to do with his ACL. Remember also there's Jermichael Hasty in the background here. He's a player that was active last week and got a couple carries. There's also Trey Sermon there, that if this was just simply that he wasn't part of the special teams and now he was inactive because of that. Now with Mostert not being probably active, Trey Sermon's probably going to be active, and he could end up being the guy in the role. That's the chances that you're taking, as well as Jeff Wilson being in the background on the IR, who could return week 7. So keep all that in mind, and the fact that you're going to have to bid about 40 to 60% to get him. Now, I personally am not probably going to be obtaining the services of Elijah Mitchell, except for the league where I got him right before kickoff and it didn't cost me anything. Reason being is because of what I just mentioned about the committee not being sure, don't know what the injury is to Mostert. I'm not particularly willing to bid 40 to 60%, and I know there are people out there that are going to bid 60% or higher to get Elijah Mitchell. What I will do, though, is I'll bid an amount that I feel that I want to bid. I know that it probably won't be the amount that's going to win the waiver wire, but that being said, you make people bid more to get Elijah Mitchell, and I think people know my strategies. They probably know that they're going to have to bid a significant or decent amount to get him. If I get him, great. If I don't, that's fine too. But he will be worth every penny of the dollars that you bid for him if he does turn out to be the man in this offense. They have the Eagles coming up this week, which I think is a pretty decent opponent. I think that he's going to be able to run on him if he gets his opportunity. And then they've got the Packers after that, and then the Seahawks. So the next couple weeks, I'd say, the Seahawks is a good matchup. I think the Packers are a little bit better of a defense than they showed this week. So 2 out of the next 3 weeks are going to be good defenses to run against and to score points against for Elijah Mitchell. I just don't think I'll be getting his services, but I think that if you believe in him, then go get him if that's who you believe in. The next guy that I want to talk about is a guy that I think fits rosters a little bit better because there's more of knowledge of the injury to Jerry Jeudy, and that's going to be wide receiver Tim Patrick of the Denver Broncos. 27 years old. He is 6'4" and 212 pounds, and you're looking at a guy that is a professional wide receiver. When I say that, he finds a way of getting open. He's got good hands. He's good in zone, finding the dead spot in the zone and getting to the open spot. A very talented wide receiver in a good offense. He's got Teddy Bridgewater as quarterback, which I think Teddy kind of gets a bad rap as being a game manager, but I think he can produce. I think he produced pretty well in week 1. And in this offense, being a pretty balanced attack with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon in the backfield keeps defenses honest. I think Tim Patrick has the most to gain from the injury to Jerry Jeudy, which is a high ankle sprain, which is significant. It's one of those injuries that can nag for the rest of the season. So I think you could get a wide receiver 1 here for a decent amount of bid dollars. But he's like week 1, he got 4 receptions for 39 yards and a touchdown. He had 4 targets. So he caught all of his targets. And I think you can immediately double that target share. I think you're going to look at least 8 targets, and you're looking at least 70, 80 yards. And he's always got the ability to score a touchdown. And I think the ceiling's a little bit higher in that. I think you can get to 100 yards, and I think you can get touchdowns, more often than what's expected. His schedule is pretty good. The next couple weeks, he's got the Jaguars this week at Jacksonville, and so that's a really good matchup. And then he's got the Jets following that week. So the next 2 weeks, you're looking at pretty good matchups. Week 4, he's got the Ravens, and so that's a tougher defense. But again, overall, the next couple weeks, you're going to get good production out of him. And I think you're going to get a guy who could potentially be a number 1 wide receiver. So this is a guy I would probably want to get more on my roster than, maybe Elijah Mitchell. I mean, I see the value of Elijah Mitchell, but for the bang for the buck for me, I'm going, Tim Patrick a little bit more. Or I like Tim Patrick more. But if I could get Elijah Mitchell for the right price, I'd take Mitchell over Patrick. I just don't think the price there's going to be a difference in price that makes Patrick more attractive to me. Next player we're going to talk about is another wide receiver. This wide receiver is going to be out of the Minnesota Vikings. It's going to be KJ Osborne. He's going to be the third option in the offense. However, I think that Minnesota is going to have to throw the ball a lot more this season than in years past. And I know Dalvin Cook is there, and Dalvin Cook's going to get his. But that defense in Minnesota just doesn't look right to me. And I think that they're going to be in higher scoring games. So I think there's going to be enough targets for everybody in the wide receivers, and even the third wide receiver. I don't think the tight end, Conklin, is going to be a threat. I think Osborne is that third threat, where Irv Smith probably would have been that third threat. A little bit more than Osborne. But Osborne, just to talk about him a little bit, he's 24 years old, 6 foot, 200 pounds. And he is got the Cardinals coming up, which is a little bit of a tougher defense. And then the Seahawks, which we've already talked about. They get into shootouts more often than not. And then he's got the Browns. So the schedule's a little bit tougher, followed up by the Lions, which again is good, and then the Panthers. So the schedule of the next 6 weeks is pretty decent for Osborne. And I think they're going to be in shootouts more times than not. And it's going to be a guy you're going to be able to get a lot cheaper than the other 2 guys that we were just discussing. 9 targets is what he got this week. He had 76 yards. And anytime you got a guy that gets 9 to 10 targets, you got to pay attention to them. That means they're in the offense. That means he's gained the trust of Kirk Cousins. And it's a guy you may want to think about and moving on. Now, next guy that I want to talk about is a tight end. He is a red zone threat out of New Orleans. His name is Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson, 6'4", 231 pounds. So he's a big man. He is a red zone threat. He had 3 targets. He caught them all. 2 of them were for touchdowns. So think of kind of like a Robert Tonyan type player, where he's just more of a red zone threat than a guy that's going to be in the offense. Some of the risk with him a little bit is that Adam Troutman, who I still like very much, is going to be in this offense. But it looks like Juwan is going to be the red zone guy. And he's out of Oregon, and looked big hands, just played like a big player. He just looked like a massive player out there. And both touchdowns, he just seemed wide open. So he must be able to find a way to get open, to be that wide open. He went up and got the ball, hand-catched the ball. 3 receptions, 21 yards, 2 touchdowns, 17 points. 3 targets, 17 points is pretty good. You can't expect that week after week. But he's proven to be the red zone guy. He's got the Panthers coming up next week. So I think that's in Carolina. I still think that's pretty good. And then he's got the Patriots on week 3, Giants week 4. So the schedule's pretty good for him. And Jameis seems to be pretty good right now. So I like him. And I think that, again, this is going to be a guy you can get pretty cheap. I'm not going to give a percentage of the budget because all of our leagues are different. You know your owners better than I do. But go after him if you have a need at tight end, or if you just want to put him on the back of your roster if you have the room. Might be a good player to get. Next guy I want to talk about is a quarterback, and it's going to be Taylor Heineke, quarterback, Washington. He is got the Giants coming up, so it's going to be a good matchup. It's in Washington. Lots of weapons: Terry McLaughlin, Diami Brown, Gibson, McKissick, and Logan Thomas. Just a complete package of offensive weapons for him to throw to. He's mobile. He's got a good arm, and honestly, for dynasty purposes, he might have been the better quarterback to get than Fitzpatrick anyway. I personally, in my dynasty league, have Prescott, then I had Fitzpatrick, and I went ahead and just picked up Heineke because of the rumors that he was competing in close to Fitzpatrick anyway. This injury to Fitzpatrick is a hip issue. He may have dislocated his hip, could be out 2 or 3 months. It's going to be Heineke's job to lose. Kyle Allen's in the background, but Kyle Allen's not a threat. And I think with these amount of weapons, if you have a need for quarterback, and again, if you want to put him on the roster, you just want depth at your roster at the quarterback position, depending on your scoring in your league, how valuable a quarterback is in special or some super flex or whatnot. He's probably not even there, but he might be. You can go get him and get a player that's going to be able to help you down the line, perhaps. Next player that we're going to discuss is another quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. Not going to spend a lot of time on Tyrod. He's not going to be playing Jacksonville every week, but he's mobile, he's accurate, he takes care of the football, and he's going to give you a safe amount of points. So if you become into an issue where you need a quarterback that's safe but can still use his legs and get you some points, Tyrod Taylor might be a guy that you want to go after. Tyrod's schedule, let's take a look real quick to see if I can get that up here for you, and we'll give you the next game for him. Tyrod is going to be up against who's Texans playing this week? Texans are playing the Browns this week at home in Houston, and then they have the Panthers. They're at Cleveland. My apologies. So they're at Cleveland. That's a tough matchup. I wouldn't be playing Tyrod this week. That front for Cleveland is just going to probably eat up the Texans. The Panthers the week after that, that's a good matchup. Week 3. And week 4, the Bills, probably not a good matchup. Week 5, the Patriots, not a good matchup. Week 6, the Colts, not a good matchup. And the Cardinals after that. So the schedule's not very good for Tyrod. But that being said, they will be throwing the football on a regular basis. So keep that in mind, that you could have a quarterback that is going to have to throw the football, but that could also mean the defense knows that he's going to throw the football, and there could be some turnover ability here for Tyrod. So the last player that I want to go over is a kicker that I am kind of impressed with. It's a rookie in Evan McPherson. Evan McPherson is the Bengals kicker. He looked really good, hit a couple deep ones. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for field goal kicking in Cincinnati. If you're looking to get a kicker that's going to be getting a lot of opportunities rest of the season, then I would say that this might be a kicker for you. So I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't want to make this too long of a waiver wire video, but these are the guys I think that are out there in leagues that you would be able to get. And again, in order: Elijah Mitchell, number 1; Tim Patrick, number 2; KJ Osborne, number 3; Jawan Johnson, 4; and then Taylor Heineke, quarterback, Washington, and then Tyrod Taylor, and then Evan McPherson. So that's the order that I would put those in. And again, the leagues that I'm in, most of the valuable players are already gone. We're trying to pick players that are going to be available and also be able to get you some points later on down the line. Hope you enjoyed the video. Once again, I enjoyed providing it, and I hope you have a good night. Thank you.